Hi, and welcome to this 4NAV coffee break. My name is René Brummel. I'm a product specialist at 4NAV and I will be your presenter today. As this coffee break is live, you can ask your questions via the GoToWebinar question window. We will answer them at the end of the coffee break. Today, we're going to look at growing report fields with their content. To demonstrate how to do this, we will use the sales template from the 4NAV report pack. However, you can grow and shrink controls and sections in any 4NAV report from any extension using the instructions from this coffee break. To demonstrate how the growing of fields work, I'm going to use these steps. The prerequisites, what do I need to get going? In step 2, I will make a field grow with its content. In step 3, I will make a table and section grow with their content. In the fourth and final step, I will add a large text and make its section grow as well. Let's start with the first step. Today, I will be demonstrating growing fields in a Business Central on-premise Docker installation with the Business Central 2020 Wave 1 release. I've installed the 4NAV extension and I have executed a step-by-step wizard from the assisted setup to get started. Of course, everything I do today is also available in the Business Central Cloud environment. I also have the 4NAV Designer installed on my PC. The 4NAV Designer can be downloaded from the 4NAV website. Sometimes when we add fields to a report, we do not know what the height is going to be. Addresses can be a different number of lines, text sizes can change with translations, or we have exceptionally long description lines. But we do not want to reserve more space than necessary. Fortunately, 4NAV can help with the autofit, can grow, and can shrink properties. So let's go and have a play with it, because that's much nicer than looking at a PowerPoint presentation. So I am going to open to design the sales template. In 4NAV, and what I want to do first is add an address field to my report and have a play around with this. So from the header, I will use the address. I will add the ship to address field group. Field groups, of course, are fields, groups of fields that belong together, like the address field, and 4NAV will format them for you. So I have added the field to my report, and I'm not going to make it any bigger because I don't know how big it's going to be. So let's preview my report and see what it looks like. And if I zoom in a little bit, we can see what I think everybody kind of expected, that the text that we had is cut off. So of course I could go into 4NAV and make this field a little bit bigger. And of course with addresses, that's not that hard, but there's quite a lot of smart ways to play around with this. So let's do this. So first thing we need to do is, if we have text in a text box that is more than one line, we can set the multi-line property to yes, in which case 4NAV will go and wrap it around the will go and make the field work on multiple lines. The second property I'm going to set is autofit, because that sounds really cool. Let's see what the autofit and multi-line properties do. So that's great. I need to zoom in quite a lot right now. What has happened now is that my text box contains multiple lines, so that's great. And the text has automatically been fitted to my text box. Now that's great. In some cases, that's exactly what you want. In this case, it isn't, because I actually want the address to be readable on my report. So let's go and switch autofit off. And there's another property called can grow. So let's switch this on. And when I switch can grow on, you will notice that my field becomes red, and it says the control must have the alignment set to top left in order to grow beyond the size of the section. So I am going to find my text alignment property, and I'm going to align the text in the top left, which makes my error go away, and I can preview my report again. And there we go. Now the size of my text, the size of my control, has grown with the size of my text. So that's great. That was exactly what I was trying to achieve. We can now make our fields grow according to their content, but what if my content is too big for my section? What if, for instance, I have a very long text that is higher, taller than the entire section I'm going to add them in? Let's play around with this a little bit. So let's say I want to add a new body to my invoice line and display my descriptions there. So I'm going to add my description 1 and description 2 fields to my report, and FNAF will create a nice table for me. Let me close my section a little bit. Now I'm using a standard Cronus database which never has any description 2 in it, so I am going to cheat. And I'm just going to add some plain text in my text box. Of course, when we add plain text to a text box, it needs to be inside quotes. Now I know this text is going to be too big for the control that I've just put it in. So first thing I'm going to do, of course, is set can grow to yes. I need to set can grow on the field. So I set multi-line to yes. I set my text alignment to top left. And I set can grow to yes. And let's preview my report now and see what it does. If I zoom in a little bit, you will notice that my text is now split on multiple lines, but it hasn't grown enough for me to fit my entire text in it. So what happened here? I set my can grow to this particular control, so this particular text box can now grow with its content, but this text box, if you look closely, is on a section which has a specific height, and it is in a table which has a specific height. So if I want the table and the text box and the section to grow as well, I'm going to have to select my table, set can grow on the table, and I need to select my section and set can grow on the section as well. Let's hit preview. And this looks a lot better. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now we can see that not only has the text box grown, but the entire section has grown with the text that I've put in the text box. Sometimes we need to add a large bit of text to a report, like legal conditions or payment terms. Usually a nice place to put these is put them in the footer of a report. So let's play around with footers a little bit. Let's say I want to add a large bit of text like payment terms underneath the VAT amount line and above the VAT clause. What I could do is insert a section, which is a footer, which creates a nice footer for me. And let's use a label for this one, because labels are cool. We can do nice things with it. And in this label, I'm going to add a new multi-language caption. And instead of just typing the text in my text box, I'm going to drill down. And I can type a large bit of text in here. Now I can type really fast, which makes these presentations a lot quicker. So not only can I add large bits of text, but I can also insert, for instance, a field from my database. So let's add the bill to name. And of course I can do some nice formatting. So let's make the background green. And I'm going to save it as HTML because the standard text property doesn't support the text background. So I'm going to save it as HTML and hit OK. And of course, this is all about growing my fields. So I'm going to set can grow to this label to yes. I'm going to set the text alignment to top left. And now, of course, I need to grow my section as well. So I'm going to select my footer. But I don't have a can grow on footers. And this makes sense because footers are often placed in the bottom of a report, and we don't want footers to grow upward because that way they might grow bigger than the entire page. So that's not something we want. So we can't use can grow on the footer. Of course, we can set the height on the footer and set can shrink to yes, in which case the footer will shrink to the text, but that's a bit of a messy solution. And we have another problem, and that is that the VAT amount line isn't always shown on the reports. So that means this footer will only be shown if there's a VAT amount line. So that's not the solution I was hoping for. Fortunately, there's a very old trick to do this, and that is to add a virtual table as a data item. So I'm going to add a new data item and move it up to above the VAT clause and below the VAT line. And in my data item, I'm going to set the data item table to integer. And the integer table is a virtual table, so that means there's no data from the database. So nothing is, no data is gotten from the database, so it won't slow down my report. This just displays a new data item for however many iterations I want. I just want the one because I just want to place one text box on here. So in here, I'm going to add a body section. I'm going to paste my HTML text, make my body nice and small, and set can grow to yes, because this is a body and I have a can grow property. So let's preview my report. And there we have it. We have a nice bit of text with the Canon Group PLC, which is the name of my bill to customer, and then the text that I've added with the green background that I've decided on. So let's recap what we just did. In our 4nav report, we have added an address field. We tried to use AutoFit, which fitted the text in the text box. Then we tried can grow, which grew the text box with the text. If the new text is bigger than the table or section that contains the text box, we need to set can grow to them as well. Finally, we have added a virtual table as a new data item to display a large text inside the report. Thank you for listening to me so far. Mark, do we have any questions?
So let me have a quick look. At the moment, we don't have any questions. So let's give the audience a moment to type questions while we go to the next slide. So if you want to know more about either what René just showed or about the product in general, of course, the first go-to place is our website, 4nav.com. On our website, one of the things you can find is the download for the 4nav designer. You can go there via 4nav.com/download. There you can download the designer that René used today to change your reports. The invoice report that René used as an example today, you can download them from Microsoft App Source. On Microsoft App Source, search for 4nav, and there you can take a test subscription. The only thing that differentiates a test subscription from a real license is the fact that we print a watermark in the report. Apart from the watermark, you can use the product fully as is. And once you're satisfied with your results, you can just send us an email directly from the app ordering a license. If you want to see more gold nuggets like this coffee break, you can go to YouTube. On youtube.com/4navreports, you can find more coffee breaks with a whole wide variety of topics about 4nav. And if after that you still have questions, don't hesitate to send an email to support@4nav.com. That email will end up in our support system, and we will get back to you in general within 24 hours. And all of our support is completely free of charge. So we still don't have any questions, René, so let's wrap up. Thank you for watching the coffee break. Of course, we look forward to seeing you again. We do these coffee breaks every week, and on 4nav.com/coffee break, you find a list of active topics that we still do in the next couple of weeks. If you cannot find the topic of your choice either on YouTube or on fornev.com/coffeebreak, you can send us an email with the topic of the coffee break that you would like us to cover. René, can you go to the next slide, please? Send an email to info@fornev.com. Put the title of the coffee break in the email. And if we agree with you that it's a great topic for a coffee break, you will win 2 fantastic prizes. The first prize is that you will get your question answered in the form of your own coffee break. And the second prize is that we will send you a gift certificate as a thank you for €50 or $US for helping us improving on our topic list. So with that, thank you for attending, thank you for listening, and thank you, René, for doing this awesome presentation. And see you again in the next coffee break.